Welcome once again to the Bills and Bones podcast. I'm Gio, and I'm here as always with my co-host PC. We started Bills and Bones to talk football for the fans with a focus on PC's team, the Buffalo Bills, and my team, the Las Vegas Raiders. This show is brought to you by Fire Luke Getsy. I don't care how it happens, who replaces him, just please fire Luke Getsy. Okay, so moving on. Let's talk Raiders. Yeah. So that happened. We watched it happen. Yeah, same thing that we watched last week. We have a great drive down the field. Everything looks good. Things are working how they should. You know, mixing up our plays. We're utilizing Bowers. You know, all those kind of things. We scored a touchdown quickly. You know, just enough to let fans know that we could be successful if we wanted to. And then what happens? We change up everything we were doing that was working, and we go back to the Luke Getsy high school show where we tried to run the ball over and over again. Not even different run. Let's just do the same run over and over again, and we'll see what happens. Including this week's highlights were the run when it is 1st and 20 on our own 31. We go for a run play. And then what are we going to do? When we need 18 more at our second, we're going to run it again. So we went run, pass, punt from our 31-yard line. That's our play calling by the great Luke Getsy. You know, we're facing a 3rd and 11 when we had the lead. Yeah. And then Getsy just, you know, we're just going to take a timeout on this drive. Screw it. We're just going to, you know, run our 3rd down and then punt it away. You know, we don't need to keep on pushing and try to win. It's just so bad, man.
Besides the no sense of urgency, which is clear every single week, the one thing that, I think the refs, too, need to be discussed in your game. Some of the biggest plays of the game were taken away from you. That interception in the red zone early on when they were driving, I don't know who got it, but it was in the middle of the field. It was definitely a linebacker. But then they call some other baloney penalty. And then also, on the touchdown that you get when it's 1st and goal, you get the motion call, then you get, like you said, some stupid run plays. It just seems like every time things start going the other way, Getsy goes into his shell and does exactly what you're talking about. They were pretty explosive on that first drive, G. They looked really, really good. It was fun to watch. The defense was fired up. But, once again, as the game wore on and in your
just butchered.
Yeah, I mean, like those stupid turnovers. And again, you and I talked about it. Fields was not impressive. Please don't tell me that dude's going to be any good against any type of team that, you know, is going to be able to continue that edge.
He was not impressive, but with Raiders, we look at Fields a little differently because the choice that was kind of presented was, do we go for Fields or do we get Getsy? Because Fields won't come with Getsy. Getsy won't come with Fields. We chose Getsy instead of Fields. Now, given that choice, I'll take Fields all day over what we chose.
Well, and again, a lot of that had to do with Adams and the fact that was someone that he wanted down there. At the end of the day, you got to remember one thing, that that offensive coordinator isn't out there throwing those interceptions, though, that were horrible in the red zone. You know, like the fumble at the 2, like when they were about to get back into the game, like that was so disappointing. And again, they get a penalty and then they fumble and then they give the ball back to the Steelers. Steelers are the luckiest team ever when it comes to being opportunistic like that, very much like the Patriots. That's why they got.
Speaking of that penalty, if you're AP, how do you not challenge the spot of the ball on that touchdown? How do you not challenge that? I mean, with how needed it was, with how close it was, you don't challenge the spot. You just say, okay, cool, why not? I mean,
joke.
Yes, it's on Abdullah for fumbling the next play. I get that, but you don't challenge the play.
There is
Come
no
on.
way that if I'm a head coach in the NFL, that I don't have a team of dweebs that are watching television and zeroing in on every single play, that have a bat phone available to me in situations like that. So that's a 30 seconds, because good teams are going to come up to the line of scrimmage and run a play right again if you're on defense. On offense, you have to have someone on the trigger that's prepared to make that call for you. And obviously they don't. And gee, I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of times I'm shaking my head and wondering why the Bills don't have someone like that, like just to
You
shake it
do.
up, just to
You
slow it down.
just
Yeah, but
hired somebody.
yeah, but you know what? Last week with Kincaid, they could have done it right there. A lot of people were pissed off that they didn't challenge that call. But I don't know. It's you have to have the way that things are going. You should be paying people top dollar to have jobs that are going to be able to figure out if that was good or not. That's just the way I see it.
The refs were horrible in our game, but refs are horrible for multiple teams, multiple games all year. We talk all the time about there needs to be some accountability for refs. So yes, the refs were bad, but I'm not going to focus on refs because I can't control refs. Raiders can't control refs, whatever it is. If we focus on what the Raiders are doing out there, we have an ineligible man that negates Madison's TD. We have the interception that negated the penalty. We got a fumble on our touchdown beginning of
Horrible.
fourth. We only went 2 for 10 on third downs. Even that play, like we're gonna run a draw play on third and long when we're at the goal line. We run a draw play. It just
One of the points. He's a chicken
just
shit.
made no sense whatsoever. I mean, if we look at what's been going on this season, the Raiders have trailed by double digits in all 6 of our games this season. We have trailed by double digits. We've trailed by 20 or more points in 3 of our past 4 games.
Wow.
We have no call of urgency. We're going to still run the ball on 1st and 18.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. We are doing high school plays out there. And do we have injuries? Absolutely, we have injuries. But injuries were not making Abdullah fumble a ball, was not making O'Connell overthrow people that were wide open,
They hung
on
around
downs.
in that game for as two
Yes.
fumbles they played. If
That game was winnable with our
If he
injuries.
punches that into the end zone instead of fumbling right there, it's a one-score game, and who knows what Fields would have done. I still think he sucks. He might have threw a pick or fumbled or did something stupid. Look, man, like the Steelers are not going anywhere with that offense, and please bring Russell Wilson in. That's what everybody wants. Please. They're the same. The only difference is Wilson will find a guy that's open for 5 yards, where if
Fields will run it for 15.
Or no, he'll run it for 5.
I'd rather
run it
take.
for 4 on a
He had some
bounce.
good runs. He had some good runs on us. I'll take those runs over
So will
a
I,
5
because
yard
you know
throw.
what? He's never going to throw it over the top. And if he's running for 15, chances are he's going to get knocked when he's in bounce because he's not going out of bounds. You know what I mean? That guy took off and got smacked a lot last night.
The turnovers are killing us. We have a negative 10 turnover ratio. For those of you guys that don't know, that would mean that our turnovers compared to our takeaways, we have a negative 10. To give you an idea, Buffalo Bills are +7. To give you another idea, Panthers are horrible. They're only -4. Raiders are the last in the league at negative 10 for our turnovers. And that reflects on your QB. It also reflects on your coaches, though. I'm going to blame turnovers on the coaches as well, as far as what plays are we calling.
How many of those are fumbles to picks? You got that on there? Because to be honest with you, I feel like because you're switching the quarterbacks around so much, it has a lot to do with it. And, how many of those fumbles were by the quarterback? Because I feel like you guys are getting strip-sacked and all that. It's just – and look, I don't know. At the end of the day, when you don't have a reliable source as your chess piece in the middle there, you're dead, and it continues to be that way for you guys. And even in a game where your quarterback was garbage, had they kept it close and punched it in there when he fumbled, you still would have been right in it.
So the big thing was, okay, O'Connell finally gets his whole game. We've been going back and forth on Minshew or O'Connell. All the O'Connell people are put O'Connell in. He's great. And the Minshew people were like, well, he's going to be horrible. To me, there was absolutely no difference out there whether you would have had O'Connell or whether you would have had Minshew out there. There's no difference. They are both, QB2s. To get you out of a game. Hopefully you're already ahead and they don't mess it up for you. That's the level of play that they have. O'Connell, did he have some good passes? Yeah. Did he also have interceptions? Did he also have overthrowing his receivers and all that? Absolutely. Just like Minshew does.
Sure.
There's no win there. So for those of you guys that are O'Connell, well, you just got to see him in a whole game. We didn't gain anything by having O'Connell out there, and now his fans are saying things like, well, he doesn't have Devontae out there, blah blah blah. I don't care about any of that. He had people open, and he's missing his targets. So it doesn't matter if it's Devontae, it doesn't matter if it's Bowers, it doesn't matter who it is. If he's missing targets, we're not winning games. Yeah. So it doesn't matter who you put out there, whether it be O'Connell or Minshew, which means that we do not have any answer at quarterback. That we if we proved anything during that game, it was that we have no help coming at quarterback. At this point, we might as well just go with our emergency quarterback Myers there. Let's throw him in. Let's see how he does. Maybe they can both get injured.
There's too much pride on the line, and these guys are not going to admit that they're wrong. They're going to go back to the table, and we're going to figure it out. You'll have the players meetings coming. Players only meetings are coming. All that bullshit's coming.
Yeah.
As your divisional games are coming up, G, right? You've only played 2. You played Denver, and you've played
Chargers.
The Chargers. So, you still got 4 huge games that could get you. You win 3 out of 4, right? Which means you take down the Chiefs at least once. You're going to put yourself in position to be in the hunt. Because if you look around the league this year, everybody stinks, and everybody's right in the middle other than those division leaders, Houston, Chiefs. There's no one in our division yet. There could be tonight. Who knows? But everywhere else, everyone's kind of out in front. So we'll see what happens. I feel like, obviously the Steelers and the Ravens are going to battle, but your coaches are not going to quit on the season because they're going to hang their hat on the league being so tight and want to stick around at least, until Thanksgiving.
AP needs to make a move here as head coach. If you want to earn that head coach spot, if you want to back up all this trash talk you've been saying about commitment to excellence and Raiders way and blah, 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 you cannot keep someone like Getsy around. I get that it's 6 games in, all those kind of things, but Getsy, for one, is going to get AP fired. But for 2, it's completely alienating your fan base. It's not a commitment to excellence with Getsy. I mean, how do you not see that this is not working? The supporters of AP liked him because he promised that he was going to motivate the Raiders. He was going to bring back the culture. He was going to bring back that sense of, greatness and excellence and blah, blah, blah. We have yet to see that. To me, AP is not doing his job that he was hired for. I mean, he has a defensive coordinator. He has an offensive coordinator. He's not an X's and O's guy. So his main job was to come in here and build our team and have these players wanting to play for us and wanting to be Raiders and hitting it hard out there and all that. And none of that is happening. I don't know what's going on with Graham and his defense. I don't know if he's all upset that he got snubbed for the head coach job for AP. So he's just like phoning it in at this point. I don't know, because our defense has not been there. We had all this talk about we were going to be this top defense, all those kind of things. Has not been there. Of course, our OC has absolutely no clue. Now all of a sudden the penalties are starting to come back in our play. That was AP's big thing, was clean games, all that. Well, that's all starting to go away. AP has got to do something that warrants him being a head coach. And right now he's not being a head coach. If your job is to rally players and make sure that, Raiders are on track and all this kind of things, then you have to take steps to do that. Because right now it's the same thing that we got with McDaniels, where after the game, we get the same losing speech that we got every game. We got to do better. The coaches got to do better. Our quarterbacks have to make plays. We can't turn over the ball. The same speeches that we hear every single game. And now AP has fallen right back into that track. He had all that swagger and everything else coming into the season. Now it's just, the same little tired speeches. He's not doing his job. He's not getting Myers to play hard for him. He's not getting Devontae to play hard for him. Bowers is playing hard just because Bowers wants to get off of our team.
How much of what's going on do you think is affected by the AP situation? Do you think that continues to be like the pink elephant in the room, or like?
I think that the players have started to lose faith in AP. I think that the honeymoon is over at this point, and he's not doing the job that he was hired to do. You're not out there designing plays, and that's his problem. Is that AP cannot fix what's going on with our offense. He really can't fix what's going on with our defense because he's not that guy. He's not the guy that's going to go sit on the sideline and draw up the play that we're all going to run and it's all going to work out great. He's not that guy. He has built himself an entire staff of ex-coaches and coordinators and everything else. And so that means that your only job is to be our hype man. Your only job is to make these players want to go out and get that ball for you and want to play and want to be on the Raiders. And you're not doing that job. Your players are not playing for you. They're just not. I mean, Crosby is Crosby, so Crosby's going to do his thing. But even Crosby has kind of diminished a little bit in what he's doing. They are not. Pierce is not getting the Raider mentality out of the Raiders, and he made all these promises about that. At this point, to me, he's at most a one-season coach. At most, he's a one-season coach. He's going to be our coach.
Do you know
2 years.
There's no way they're going to fire him after 1 year. They just won't because of the quarterback situation. They can't blame that on him. They're not going to.
Well, to me, that quarterback situation is what's going to out him. They're going to get a new quarterback in there, probably Sanders, because Davis just likes to have a name.
How can they get mad at him? What are they going to do? Are they going to say, you should have played one instead of the other when they both suck? I really think that the dude doesn't get canned until after they get him someone that they can start from scratch with, someone that they can rely on and say, hey, this is the dude that we're going to put all our eggs in one basket. They got to give him one good draft. I mean, he kind of came into this job at not even knowing if he was going to get it, so that meant he wasn't preparing all season for whom he may be looking for in the draft. These coaches are looking at dudes well in advance. I mean, to have an opportunity to get your own soldiers in there is going to make a big difference. I'm not saying, look at dude, there's so many defensive.
Well, I think that they might want a new coach when they get a new quarterback, though, is what I'm saying. I'm saying that when they get a new quarterback, they might want a coach that's going to go with that quarterback and build that quarterback up.
More money again for another coach that they fired and they didn't keep around for, even 2 years. That's like 3 coaches in a row where they did that. This guy shouldn't be treated that way. I mean, I'm not saying that, he's great and he's, brought, the Raiders back or any shit like that. What I'm saying is there's no way that if they do that, if they fire him, the race shit's going to come out like crazy and people are going to go right at this saying that, the reason why he got fired was because of the color of his skin. That stuff will start immediately. So just as a business sense, I don't think
our president is black. So we had an entire black staff last year.
I'm just telling you what's going to happen. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. Black coaches don't get.
Some head has to roll.
In the NFL, black coaches don't really get a good shot, and that'll be something that they're going to come at really, really hard, dude. I promise you that. Especially if they don't give him a chance with the 2 years. But I just don't see the Raiders falling on their sword again with another coach. They have to give this dude a chance to draft. They have to give him a chance to get some guys in there that he, wants in his own way, and then we'll take it from there.
Then they got to get rid of Getsy. They got to get rid of Getsy. It needs to be now is when it needs to be. It needs to be now.
Your campaign and your commercials and all of your little tchotchkes that you.
Oh, Raiders are on it. Oh, they're on it.
Dude, it's over.
Every Twitter post, everything. So a name that I'll throw out there too. That as far as not complaining without any solution here. Joe Philbin, who's already on our staff. He's a senior offensive assistant coach. He's got 38 years coaching experience. He's been a head coach in the NFL. He worked with Ohio State with their offensive line, developing their players. They were, third in the league in scoring. He was with the Cowboys in 2020 and 2022, where they have, 4,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard receiver, 1,000-yard rusher. He was Green Bay's offensive coordinator with Aaron Rodgers in 2018. This guy is there.
Congratulations. You got a guy that was good when he had good quarterback, but you don't. So
I don't know if I would count Dak as a good one, but
well, you just said he had 4,500 yards that year. So I mean, which is it? So I don't know. I don't know, dude. I don't know. There's just no solution until you get someone in the middle. And once you do that, then you can start evaluate what these coaches have to offer.
What I don't want to do is what some Raiders fans are rallying for is let's find another retread. You know what I mean? Like, okay, let's go at Russell. You know, let's get Wilson over here. Like, stop it, stop it. Like, we can't do that. We can't. I am not willing to give up our first round pick for any quarterback that reasonably that we're going to get. We're not going to get freaking Stroud this year. You know what I mean? Like,
No, exactly.
we can't give up our first round pick, especially because with the way we're going, our first round pick is going to put us in that hunt for a new quarterback.
Gee, I will say this, man. You are on the money 100% about Jaden Daniels. That kid is balling for Washington.
Yes.
Holy shit. Even in the loss yesterday against a really tough Baltimore defense, for a rookie, he looked pretty good, man. And for years to come, I think that team is going to be back on the map because that dude he's legit and he's smart and he's good and he can do it and he's got the gun to go with it. So.
And now he's going to be one of those quarterbacks that every time I watch him play, I'm going to be all pissed off because, Raiders wanted him. He wanted to be a Raider. I mean, it was all set up, and we couldn't make that happen.
Games last year,
couldn't make that happen.
That was the only way that was going to happen.
Or put more on the table for the trade,
Washington
or put more on the table.
Saw something on there that no one else did and put a lot of faith in him. So
Jaden was a big target for a lot of teams. It wasn't like he was like a sleeper or something. I mean, he was a big target for a lot of teams.
I think he's doing a lot better than people that thought he was going to do right off the bat. That's all I'm saying.
Off the gate, yeah. I mean, it's like every time I watch Baker Mayfield, once again, watching him play, I'm like,
exactly.
we could have had him. Like, we could have had him for nothing.
Perfectly into your system the way that he's using
we could have offered him like some Sour Patch Kids, and he would have come over to the Raiders.
I love
but
watching
no.
They've been on TV a lot, and I've, obviously being laid up here, I've been able to watch a lot of ball, and he's been on, man. I'm not going to say that I like him because he came out of that class with Josh, and when he went to Cleveland, fuck Cleveland. That's just the way I feel about them. Obviously, you see what I'm wearing today. So, I just to see him regenerize and have a second shot, third shot down there is really cool. And I'm happy for him.
So getting back to our Steelers game, there's nothing even that I feel that we learned from that game. I mean, it's not like, we learned some key things that we can work on. What we learned is that we're going to do the same exact run every time when we're in trouble. We're still not going to play for the win. We're still going to punt when we shouldn't be punting. We're still not going to call a challenge we have learned nothing in these 6 games. We have not evolved as a team at all. We've not come together as a unit. We still don't have an identity. At the very least at this point, even if we were losing, I wanted AP to at least give us an identity, something, and have the players wanting to wear black and silver and wanting to be a Raider. And we don't even have that. Our team is completely uninspired to play, and Bowers is playing just so he can get off of our team as soon as possible. He's just trying to up his stats so he can get a better deal from us. I mean, we have no heart, that's what made the Raiders the Raiders. I mean, the Steelers came in and they played that nitty gritty ball and beat the hell out of us. And it doesn't help when our defense is on the field all the time either.
Yeah, I was just
that doesn't help. We were very physical in the beginning, and then we kind of started slacking off because, our guys get tired. I will say, one of the few positives, DJ Glaze. I mean, DJ Glaze kept Watt pretty quiet for that game. I mean, I'll give props to Glaze. I liked him up there. He did his job. He did his job well, especially considering it's Aiden. He did his job well. I mean, that's the one positive that we can get out of this, I guess.
Look,
but
the defense was grinding. I mean, they kept them in that game. They kept them, they made them punt a bunch of times. They gave the ball back to the offense. They moved it. The Steelers, what I hate about them is what I love about them. And it's going to sound stupid, but it's just the truth. They do what great defenses do. They give it to you. They dare you to take the little things. And if you do and you get it down to the red zone, then finally it becomes a lot more difficult for you to move it on them because they just they pack it in. They make it way more difficult for you to see where those blitzes are coming from. They disguise packages really nice, and of course, they got Watt and an amazing front four that gets after the quarterback. So their defense is what the Bills do when the Bills are clicking. So it's fun to watch, and they suffocated the Raiders when they got into the red zone a lot yesterday, and you saw that obviously with the turnovers and the unsuccessful drives that got down there.
We have one more game before the Chiefs at this point. We got the Rams coming up. The funny thing is we will have many more fans at SoFi than we just had for this Steelers game. I don't know if you noticed on TV, our entire stadium was yellow. And Steelers travel extremely well. I mean, Steelers are that team that they travel like crazy. But come on, our entire stadium is yellow, and I really can't blame fans. I mean, I'm supposed to go to this Cincinnati game, and I told my wife the other day I'm literally going just because her and I will have fun. Seeing Cincinnati in a new stadium. I mean, there's no reason to travel to watch this product of a team. There's no reason to go see them. I mean, it's fun to go.
They got a real nice Hard Rock right in the middle. Right
Do they have
the street. Oh yeah, you'll love it. It's a fun town. Get some barbecue ribs. Go to the zoo. Those are my two suggestions to you when you go down there. But you're right. Like, what's the point of going on the show or going on the road and watching the show when the show sucks? And unfortunately, Vegas is, man. It would seem like it was half black and yellow, man. It was crazy, and especially
it was
at the
ridiculous.
end of the game when it was already over, you could tell there was way more of them left. And why wouldn't there be?
I'm on this Facebook Raiders group for buying and selling tickets, and there were so many posts on there with Steelers fans thanking us for selling them tickets. They're like, thank you guys, blah blah blah. Like they're on our Raiders Facebook post buying tickets from the season ticket holders and filling our stadium with yellow because people have learned if someone from the Steelers, if they want to pay me $500 for me not to be there, then great. Pay me the $500. I'll make $2,000 for my seats, and I can just sit home and watch them get trounced. So it's already happening where we actually started this season off. If you noticed, our stadium was blacked out again. I mean, people showed up because AP was there, and AP told us all to show up, and they're going to show out, and blah blah blah. That by the sixth game now, the stadium is yellow. So it's just over.
Well, and
for
I
that.
also think that if you were playing better, it would still be much more well attended. I mean, that just comes with the territory. But still, at the end of the day, dude, like, it's so damn expensive. Of course, it's a destination. That might have been, for me, I know this is how I've been rolling the last couple of years. That might have been the one trip that guy does with his wife a year, goes out to Vegas and blows it, gets super nice seats, and sits down close. I mean, that's what you talk about doing this all the time. So that's what you're going to do in Detroit, so it's just.
For me with how much money, I mean, when I priced that trip out, I'm talking at least $3,000, because you're gonna eat, you're gonna go to casinos, you're gonna do all those things. So you're talking at least $3,000 for me to do that trip, and I am not going to pay $3,000 to watch my team get just rocked out. It would ruin the whole rest of my trip. I would not enjoy the casinos and everything else if I had to come away from that.
That's the way we do it.
Just do that and get on the plane. Just be hostile the entire way back on the plane.
You could pick any team that of these teams I've gone to see the Bills at. Arizona, we left the next freaking day. Cleveland, we left after the game a bunch of times. Like, same with going to New England. I can remember beating the Patriots back in 2000, and we were in overtime. It was freezing. Sitting there shivering. Steve Christie made a kick to win it. We literally got in my dad's van, drove all the way back to Buffalo. It was so freaking cold. It was amazing. But that, I can remember doing that stuff, man, because you just want to get the hell out of there. It's the worst.
Well, a fact that I found interesting that I thought you might find interesting too. Our Chargers game there, that punt that we did on 4th and 1 from the Chargers, where we were 43 down to 6 in the fourth quarter.
The worst.
So what they said was the last time that had been attempted was actually Rex Ryan's Bills against the Ravens in 2016 was the last time a team punted on 4th and 1 when they were down that far was Rex Ryan's Bills
This goes
against
to
the
show
Ravens. Like
if
we're
you're
on the
aiming,
same path, I guess.
if you're on the same path, if you're on the same page with Rex on anything, you should be hoping that you get off of it as soon as possible.
It's just bad. And to me, if AP is going to prove himself as a head coach here, you got to get rid of Getsy. You have to. I mean, you have to show that you're willing to, make a business decision, as he said. You got to show that you're willing to cut people that are not, going with the program. Getsy's going to cost him his job. It's going to cost AP his job. What's happening now is all the fans are obviously against Getsy, but that is already starting to turn towards AP as far as if you don't get rid of Getsy, then we want to get rid of you too. He's gotta make a stance because he sold everybody on he was the gangster, raider and watched him growing up and blah 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 blah. He sold everybody on that. So you got it. You're not showing up with wins to prove that. You at least have to cut ties with someone like Getsy and prove that you're willing to cut people that aren't up to, your new Raiders standard. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that we're all going to complain about it. We're all going to say, cut him, cut him, cut him. And he's going to be around and we're just going to tank.
Uh, Again, dude, I think the OC's toast. That's going to happen before Thanksgiving. The major thing that I think is going to really matter is how things go for the rest of the season and where you guys end up in the draft because you have an opportunity to get someone. I know that you've seen all the talk about Dion's kid. Dion's kid is someone that your owner wants big time.
He just
And if
wants the
they,
name.
I don't,
He just
he's
wants
good,
the
dude.
name.
He's
He's
good.
good,
He's
but
exciting.
there's better options out there too.
Well,
But he wants
whatever
the
it
name
may
of
be,
Sanders.
at least they're looking to the future and they're not, they know already that these two dudes you got are not it. So whatever
Yeah.
happens over the next, 3 months in determining where your team ends up in the draft is going to be the biggest thing that, and also with Devontae's situation, let's say, sounds like,
Trade him.
well, right, but I know where you are, but
Trade him.
what I'm gonna tell you is, from what I've read and where people are at, it's the Raiders eat a majority of the dough, and you get something around a second round pick. Okay, second round pick for Devontae Adams that you can now work into another deal to get to a spot to get a quarterback may be exactly what they're doing, so that they give AP a chance to draft somebody that he can kind of mold, and it puts a little bit more excitement back into the organization because you become relevant in the draft that comes up. I don't know, G. It just seems like you need something like that to happen in
We
order
do.
for the thing to get turned around.
We do. I'm fine with keeping Bowers and sacrificing Adams. I wouldn't mind seeing some defensive help for Adams as well. If we eat a big contract, I wouldn't mind a second round pick and defensive. Hell, at this point, even a okay receiver, I guess, considering what we have going on with injuries and everything. I would like to see us get a little bit more than if we're going to eat his contract. Then I would like to see us get more than just a second round pick for him. Second round pick, and they're going to help us out with the contract. Okay, whatever. But if we're going to eat a contract, then I'd like to see more than a second round pick for him. But we'll see. They don't want to trade him. I don't think that they want to trade him, but they have to trade him.
They're going to have
You have to
to,
do it.
depending on where you're at on any of this. Everyone who's watching this closely knows that that draft next year is going to be crucial in you guys finding someone to play quarterback. So if you can build up some, some pieces that you can use as, bargaining chips, then you should be doing that. And the longer you wait with this dude, I think the least you're going to be able, the less you're going to be able to get. Maybe not. he might be waiting around to see what happens even tonight with the Jets and the Bills because those are two teams that he really wants and has some interest in. So he may be waiting to see what would be the best case scenario for him. So I know this, and we haven't talked about it too much. The Bills have the Bills have two second round picks next year, and they have their own, and they will ultimately have Minnesota's, who all of a sudden is fucking 5-0. So of course their pick isn't as great as we thought it was going to be, but it's still a
Yeah.
second round pick. So the Bills could throw two second round picks at the Raiders for that dude. That may solve the money issue real quickly for you guys too.
Moving on to the Bills versus the Jets. Bills squeaked one out there against the Jets. I will say the Jets' offense looked much better than they were, but some kicker problems there definitely got to them. I do always love seeing Rodgers when he gets into that pouty face, though. I mean, there's some quarterbacks that or I guess players in general that I like seeing sad, and Rodgers, just from the kind of person that he is, I enjoy seeing him sad. And when that game closed out and he's sitting on the bench and shaking his head, and you know just because of the kind of guy he is, he's got a list of how is everyone else's fault besides his. He has a long list he's going through in his head of everyone that's ever wronged him during that game. But it was fun watching him be that sad. I thought it was a really fun game to watch. The penalties were
the
crazy.
refs, because that was the worst
It
fucking
was
referee game.
just ridiculous. Just
Like,
ridiculous. Something
Where do you
needs to
want
be
to
done.
start, man? How about they go and they have to do press conferences? I'm sitting here, I'm watching Ulbrich right now have to take questions on his first time at the job in one of the hardest jobs in the league in New York. He's got to sit there and listen to these assholes ask him 50 fucking questions, but not one of those refs will have to answer a goddamn thing for anything that happened during that game. The roughing the passer on the sack
that
may have been the worst call of the motherfucking season. Now,
a quarterback Aikman is saying, "What the hell is that?"
I mean,
what the hell, man?
Mr.
Come
CTE,
on.
exactly. And it's like, how can you be a defensive player and pin your ears back on 3rd and long and make that play, and the guys are like, oh, you tackled him too hard when you got to him. Like, it's the softest shit I've ever seen, and like it was predictable throughout. And thank God we got the interception late, because you didn't want it coming down to another possible Hail Mary or some type of flag that was going to come out in one of those situations. G, I mean, it was about
that
as bad
interception. The interception took the end of the game away from the refs. Is pretty much what that did.
Yes, Ty Johnson, man. Ty Johnson was great, but Teron Johnson, welcome back, baby. I mean, being out as long since week one.
That was a
coming
pretty
to make a
epic
huge
freaking
play.
catch.
Yeah, dude, he was
Yeah,
good
that
tonight.
that was pretty epic.
They went at him a little bit, but he was pretty tough, and you got to have a lot of respect for a guy who's got a little rust that he's got to knock off and come in there and play as well as he did. And like, dude, the Hail Mary, for starters, I mean, people are calling for McDermott's head. He rushed two guys on that play. Now I understand, G. You got to knock the ball down when you're in a Hail Mary situation. You just got to knock it down. You got to make a play on it. But when you only are rushing two guys, and it's giving him an opportunity to walk back there and walk into it and run it down there, the guy has proven in the past that he can do it. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and kiss his ass like he's Mr. Hail Mary, but the truth of the matter, he's got 4 of them now, a bunch of them during the playoffs. So the last thing that you should be doing is giving him that opportunity. Look, they were giving him this, they wanted them to do that. They were inviting them to throw it down there. Defense has got to make a play, but dude, you got to rush more guys to get some pressure on them.
So, what do you think? The defense for Bills, I thought was very impressive. Jets came out there with a better looking offense, definitely a lot more aggressive of an offense. Rodgers was a lot more comfortable on an offense, but there was some major defensive plays for the Bills. I mean, they look good.
Yeah, I mean, look, when kickers miss field goals, your defense ends up looking pretty damn good, and that's exactly what happened tonight. We held them when they got into the red zones. The Jets had problems with penalties too. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say we were the only ones.
Oh yeah,
There were
that
some
was on
terrible
both
ones.
sides.
That were
Yeah.
yeah. So like to play as well as the Bills did down in their own zone and to hold them to those two field goals and then two field goal tries, that was pretty big, obviously, in the end of the game and in the score of the game. So, but still, man, like there's so many things that happen throughout that football game that have you scratching your head. The only thing that was pretty constant was Josh was pretty cool, calm, and collective throughout the night. And even though he didn't look perfect, and he obviously wasn't doing everything perfectly, he had himself a good game. And that first down on that naked boot at the end of the game there was the perfect call at the perfect time. He got 72 on his skates, and he just made that play look super duper easy. That bootleg had been there all night long. I think they were waiting for that opportunity to take advantage of it, and that's exactly what they did to close out the game.
So, what do you think that you've kind of learned from this game? Because you've been having a little bit of a rough time there from a team that you kind of thought was going to be, I don't know about stomping through, but kind of like last week especially was a surprise loss.
Two divisional wins. It's October, and you got a two-game lead in the division. So, look, we already beat Miami, and we've already beat the Jets, the only two teams that have a couple of wins. We know the Patriots aren't going anywhere. They're terrible. They're probably going to be looking to be, that lottery pick, one of the first picks of the draft. Everything's on the table now. What did I learn tonight? We're a hell of a lot better when Terod Johnson's in the lineup. What did I learn tonight? We need Khalil Shakir to be out there as well. So Ray Davis was an absolute stud tonight. Absolute stud. And even Ty Johnson, he played very well in his spots when he was out there too. But I'll tell you what, man, Cook taking the night off because of the injury, we got to see one of our draft picks go out there and absolutely kick ass, and it was super fun to watch him do it. And kudos to him. And man, in the first half, they were just shoving it down the Jets' throat. And it was all Ray Davis. He wasn't even getting touched until he was like 6 or 7 yards downfield. I love seeing the number 22 out there. You know what I mean? It reminds me of my man Fred Jackson. So watching number 22 gash that defense and play as well as he did. I'm looking at his stat line right now. 20 rushes, 97 yards, 3 catches for 55. The dude was an absolute stud, and we can have a guy like that coming out of the backfield contributing over 150 yards. We're going to have a good night. That's for damn sure. So kudos to him. And even, Coleman got in there and made some big first down catches. I'm not going to say that, everybody contributed. The Bills did what they had to do to win. Everybody knows that's been watching this team for as long as they have that going down to New York and winning is not easy. Time and time again, we come home with 3-point victories or 3-point defeats from this team. So I'll take it. 4-2 with the Titans, who are terrible coming into town, is a good place to be right now, G.
Yeah, I didn't think that you guys really missed that much of a step, honestly, without Cook. I thought that, especially on a night where winds are blowing and you're worried about passing and worried about cooking, worried about kicking, that not having Cook was going to be a pretty big hit and something that had to get planned around and all that kind of thing. But I mean, we talked about Ray Davis a little bit during preseason. We were talking about him that he was impressing us, and it was great to watch him out there. Plus, like they were getting into his whole story and everything too. It's nice to see a guy that you can actually kind of get behind for his personal life and the decisions he was making too. It's nice to see a good guy do that well. But yes. Yeah, it was great watching Ray Davis. I mean, that's a small little guy too, but he gets those legs moving, and I mean, they were tackling him with safeties. he was making it back that far.
Gee, what will get lost in this win is because everybody talks about how strong the Jets defense is, and they are. They're strong. They're tough. They bring it. The Bills' offensive line kicked their ass for that entire first half and set a very major tone. It's going to get lost with all of these horseshit penalties and all of these false starts. The Bills had 5 penalties on first down. 5 on first down. You're putting yourself right up against the sticks. That's bad for business. But that offensive line was able to set a tone. They were nasty. There was a lot of fights, a lot of chippiness, a lot of shit talking going on, all the kind of stuff that you and I as football fans absolutely love. And we love to see yourself come out on the other side of this with the win, especially after, all of the trash talk and all the shit that was going on all night.
Yeah, the two teams definitely came right out the gate, and everyone knew that you guys weren't going to get along very well.
They hate each other. There's no doubt. Deion Dawkins is hated by that Jets locker room. They are looking to take shots at him. And if you don't think for a second that if they get a shot at Josh, they're going to take it, you're out of your mind. Our defense took out some of their quarterbacks over the years. Last year it was Rodgers. The year before that was his name's escaping me, but, White, remember, Milano chopped him in half. So there is some bad blood between these two organizations, especially in the Josh and McDermott era. So whenever we go up against them, you always see that chippiness, you always see that nastiness, but I'm glad that we come out on top because that's a good road win for a young team that's really starting to move in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, stats-wise, on both sides, Brees Hall put up 113. Ray Davis with 97, Allen with 215, Aaron Rodgers with 294. I mean, that was a big play kind of game. That, like you said, it sucks that it was ruined by. I mean, it's kind of hard to even remember big plays or all the plays that happened because every 3 minutes we had to stop for another flag, and we had dueling penalties all the time, and it's just crazy, just way over roughed of a game.
I've been to a ton of games that are exactly like that. College, football, high school, and there's nothing worse than when it gets into that realm of, is there going to be a flag? Are they going to throw it? You know what I mean? You're holding your breath after each and every freaking play, and it becomes so frustrating because how much of that is because it's Aaron Rodgers? How much of that is because it's Josh Allen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, there's just so much that is left for interpretation in the rules. There's so many times that referees, kind of swallow the whistle when they could have made a call. I don't know. I'm sick and tired of it coming down to that, and unfortunately the Bills play so many close games that it always seems like the refs are dictating what's going to happen in the end.
AJ Epinesa there, man. that was a pretty impressive performance from him, man.
Well, he got sacked.
That was very impressive.
I don't know what it was, but he didn't play in the beginning of the game. He was out in the first half or the first quarter and lit a fire under his ass, and he was the one that got that. And when he got the sack, he landed on Rodgers too hard, and they got another fucking penalty.
Yeah, he actually had
that was
tackle.
The weakest shit I've seen. But look, man, the Bills' edge rushers are doing a fantastic job. Von's out. Okay, it sucks. It's been 3 games now. He's coming back after next week. We're coming up onto the part of the schedule where that it's a little bit easier, but then you got the Chiefs and then you got the 49ers. So it's a good time to get home, get healthy, get those guys out there. It's great to see the young players like Davis get some reps. Dorian Williams continue to be awesome out there. Rap with 2 huge plays tonight. The breakup pass play in the end zone for the touchdown, and then that third and long where he came up and just absolutely lowered the boom. Gee, I want to just talk a little bit about this because to some of our older fans, I was talking about this, one of my good friends, Ryan Shanahan, who's down in Baton Rouge, or down in New Orleans. Did you see Rapp's helmet? You see how he's wearing that kazoo dome? Well, back in the day, there was a player on our team called Mark Kelso, then who also was in the booth for years with Murph, and he wore that big, fat, extra layer on his helmet. They used to call him Kazoo. It's nice to have another Kazoo back there playing center field for us, making huge plays. 2 of the biggest plays of the night for sure, which could have been a touchdown and certainly could have been a first down to keep that drive going.
Yeah,
Great job by Rap,
5 solo
Great
tackles.
Job. He's a
five solo
stud.
tackles, and most of them were at those key moments. I
Yeah.
mean, they I think Aikman was the one that said it, but he turned the game around with those tackles for sure. With this kind of a matchup or this close of a game, it really does come down to that key tackle, or in this case, I think it came down to that key
Absolutely.
interception.
Yeah.
I mean, that without that interception, who knows where we would be at right now, especially with the way that the roughing was going. Who knows where we would be at. That interception was, the end of the game was that
Well, they
interception.
probably punt, right? They're probably going to punt there, and then, you know, which means they may have, put us a little farther back behind the sticks. Plus, if you're punting, that brings in a chance for a penalty. We know there was enough of those fucking tonight for all of the, special teams too. So the interception was as timely as it gets. It didn't give them an opportunity, to have the refs go out there and fuck us. And obviously, those three
Yep.
run plays to run the clock out was exactly what Bills fans were looking for. And that naked boot by Josh was about as pretty as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, you got to spend the last 2 minutes of the game just kind of celebrating instead of panicking there. So that was that was definitely
Yeah,
a
I mean,
key moment.
when you get your quarterback into a position to get into victory formation, and he's the one that gets the run, man, there's no better feeling than that. I mean, you can hear the wind come, or just everything come out of that stadium as soon as Josh got that first down. People were heading for the exits. That was it. That was it.
That was a great smart play too for him on that first down. Like he didn't really put himself out there this game. I was wondering with it being the Jets, with it being that close, were we going to see Josh Allen putting himself out there in dangerous situations, and were we going to see him try to take the game all by himself, or was he still going to rely on on Davis and on his weapons there? And like you said, he showed some growth as a quarterback, because the Josh Allen 2 years ago would have just tried to run the ball himself every single play, and dove over this guy and that guy and all that. But he settled back, and he let his guys play the game there, and
Yeah.
he came through with that key first down for sure. But even that was a smart play. That was a smart play, a smart run. He didn't try to push it all the way up and risk anything. He just
He knew that as soon
I gotta
as he
get
got
this
that
down
first
and got
down,
it down.
it was over. They had one
It
timeout
was
left.
over.
Mathematically, it was over. And, that's the best thing about having a guy that's smart, man. He realized the situation. I guarantee you, when they were out there, or excuse me, before they went out there, and they said, "Hey, man, if it's 3rd and 4, Josh, we're running this play," he was like, "Abso-fucking-lutely," because he knew it was there all night. And now, I keep saying it was there all night. It was there all night. It was there all night, meaning that he was going to have one-on-one against somebody that was going to have to make a business decision. That when 72 overcommit, okay, when I'm talking about overcommit, he was a defensive end. He crashed towards the fake run. That allowed
Yep.
Josh to get outside that contain, and it was over. There was no way that guy was going to catch him. And I'll tell you what, G, if it was a close game and we were up against it, Josh would have definitely kept running there, and who knows how far he would have gotten.
Yeah,
Hey, if you want to check in real quick, they're doing Aaron's press conference, and he looks about as miserable and as pissed off as he's ever looked. So you might want to check.
I mean,
in on
he
that.
hates talking to the press in general. Like, I don't even care if he wins; he hates talking to people. So
He looks like he should
another
hate his
another
barber
loss,
right now. It's about as bad of a hairdo as it gets.
another loss,
Handsome
and he's
devil
going to
that I
be
am
pretty
over here.
sad. The one thing I was surprised about is Khalil Shakir. I keep on kind of waiting for him to really break out here, and
Don't forget, G, he
haven't
was out
seen it.
last week. He was out last week, and the 2 catches he had tonight were big. You're right, though. That's Josh's go-to guy. I feel like as he gets more healthy and has an opportunity to get himself more involved in this offense, he'll be out there. And, like I said, maybe this was the game that gets us another wide receiver into that locker room. Who knows? But like I said, 4-2 is a good place to be in the NFL, especially when you got a 2-game lead in the division.
I always like watching Kincaid. I always enjoy watching him. He's just that kind of brings that like physical player that I like watching. So it was great to see him, make some big plays, 51 yards tonight. That's awesome. But I mean, Ray Davis led your rushing and your receiving tonight. I mean,
Yeah.
if someone's gonna get the chain around his neck, it's gotta be Ray Davis. That was a breakout kind of game for him.
And that's how you beat the Jets. You use the running back outside of the tackles, whether it's giving them in the handoff or, throwing it out to them and let them eat. That's what happened tonight. When he had his opportunities, it was because he got outside of the tackles and he got downfield. So many times he didn't even get touched until he was into the secondary, like you had said. And when you're having that kind of success against a team that's supposedly, this powerhouse defense, if I'm McDermott, I am continuing to run it down their throat, and that's exactly what he tried to do in the first half.
And you guys also adjusted too. We were talking about how the Bills. One of the things that they can do is adjust. To me, your biggest adjustment was on Breece Hall, because Breece Hall was being Breece Hall there that first half of the game. He was getting those yards, and you needed some answer for Breece Hall. And I feel like there were some adjustments made, and the second half, Breece Hall was a lot quieter than the first half. Braylon Allen, I mean, you guys had him locked down the whole game. I don't know what they're expecting out of him. I know they're expecting more from him, but you guys had him locked down all game. But I feel like the adjustment to Breece Hall changed that game around in that second half. So it was, nice to see that adjustment. Especially, my team, can't adjust.
They only scored 3 points in the second half, G. You're right. I mean, even if they make the 2 field goals that they missed, that's 9. That's shit. That's a great job by your defense. So when they go back and think about this too, they get that Hail Mary. The defense pretty much has played pretty solid all night. Offense has scored on 3 out of 4 drives. If you go into that locker room and you're on that defense, you got to be saying to yourself, man, fuck this. We got to go and get this dude. We got to get after this dude. We got to get pressure on this dude, and we are not going to let Breece Hall beat us by running it down our throats. And that's what they did. They took him out. The zone kind of crept up a little bit. They were obviously, giving up those short passes in order for guys to come up and tackle. And in the second half, the Bills did a great job with that. And like I said, you hold a team to 3 points, you're going to have a real good shot to win.
Really good play calling too. I mean, we saw easy touchdowns on the Bills. I mean, just hey, I'm right here, cool, toss me the ball, I got it.
Yeah.
Really good play calling at the right moments. They look good. It was, like I said, it was a good game to watch. Jets started looking good too. It'll be interesting to see when you meet up with them again. Where they're at.
I mean, that's the second last. They come to Buffalo. So we got the last 3 games of the year. Ready for this? New England and Buffalo, the Jets in Buffalo, Bills go to New England. So those 3 games, all divisional games late in the season, are going to fucking matter. And if we continue to go down this path and do what we got to do and handle our business, we may already have the division wrapped up by then, and we could be looking to get, a higher seed in the playoffs if all things go the way they should.
Well, I mean, your next 4 games, should be wins for you. Titans, Seahawks, Dolphins, Colts. I mean, should be win. The Seahawks are always. I was talking to my wife about the Seahawks.
When are you going to get it?
The Seahawks are just so unpredictable. Like I tell her, like I never bet if the Seahawks are involved, I just stay away from it completely because they can be so horrible, but then they can have games where they're like the Chiefs or something. So they're crazy.
They're good at home.
They are.
That's one thing.
They are.
Gino's been around for a long time, and he's seen a lot of defenses. He knows a lot of things, but they're only going to go as far as Gino's going to take them. And that dude was drafted in like 2013. He came in when E.J. Manuel was drafted by the Bills. I'm sorry. I don't want to get ahead of myself because I'm not looking at Seattle yet. I'm focused on the Titans. But, you're right. The schedule is very open for us right now to make a nice little run and get ourselves ready to play those 2 big games, later in the season with the Chiefs and then
because they're Chiefs 49ers, yeah.
Yeah, so like right now, you got to stack them, G. Me and you have been talking about this shit now for almost a year. This is the time where you stack those wins. I knew it. I said it back in August when we were doing this shit. If we can get to 4-2 with this team that we have right now, okay, who are dealing with all these injuries, who don't have a number one wide receiver, who have a coach that does a lot of stupid shit, who have an offensive line that wants to go out there and fight everybody. We're still fucking 4-2, and we could go and win four more in a row and put ourselves into a great spot playing against the two teams that were in the Super Bowl last year, come November.
Definitely. So what do you want to see with them against Titans?
I want
Are
to
you worried about
see.
Titans or?
I'm always worried about a team that's in the NFL. I will say this: they are not the Titans they used to be. Right? There's no
No.
more Derrick Henry over there. Their quarterback is a fucking joke, and their defense is getting gashed for big plays. It should be a business as usual game for the Bills. Come out there, just run the ball, control the line of scrimmage, make that young quarterback make some mistakes, and you should be 5-2, in a real good spot on your way to Seattle to play a pretty big game, night game. I think, right? Isn't that a night game? I'm not positive. I'm almost positive that Seattle game is a prime time
Yeah, I
game.
don't know what time that is.
But
Is Cook supposed to be back for that game? Did they?
I
I don't know
mean,
if they announced when he's coming back.
a toe is the type of injury you just don't know which way it's going to go, G. So it's going to be
They
one of
might
those
let him
things.
rest up after we just watched out of Davis. They
Yeah,
might say, dude, like we want you to be healthy for for Chiefs and 49ers. Like chill.
I think it's a pain thing. It's like, if it's not going to be any worse, it's just going to hurt. So, how much drugs can you pump into that thing, or what do you want to do? Like, do you want to sit it out, or do you want this young rookie to come in here and take some of your shine? I don't know. So, it's a good place to be when you got two guys that can step up when your number one guy is down. That's a really good place to be. And again, man, Ray Davis, baby, love watching that dude. Love watching that dude rumble.
Well, so as we said, your next game is Titans coming up.
Yeah.
Your schedule just got much better.
I'm just
Raiders'
looking at-
schedule is getting a little bit worse now. We got Rams, and then we got Chiefs, and then
All right,
Bengals. So
Let's
we
play a
got
little
three
game
tough
here,
ones.
G. What do you think the spread's going to be for the Bills Titans game right now? Just came out.
I don't know. Plus, I'm gonna say +3,
+9.
+9.
+9. I'm telling you, their quarterback is a shit show.
Yeah,
So
wow.
I just don't.
Yeah, but
see-
Titans are another one of those teams that they go up and down. You know what I mean? Like
They're
it's
1-4.
not like
They're 1-4.
Yeah.
They're coming in here. The only thing that I'd be worried about with them, are they coming off a bye? I don't remember. Did they? No, they played the Colts.
No.
Colts squeaked one out against them. So just handle your business. That's a team that you have coming into town. People are going to be fired up. 4-2, like I said. Just handle your fucking business, kick their ass, and get yourself ready for the next week. I really think that this is a good week. There was no major injuries tonight. Everybody was out there, contributing and doing what they needed to do. I love to see that, man. And it's scary what this team's going to look like in a couple of weeks. That's all I'm going to say. I really like the direction the players are going. I just wish that this coach would start being a little bit smarter in some crucial situations.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. You and I have much different weeks ahead of us. So I mean, we already Raiders' easy part of the schedule has already passed, and we didn't take advantage of any of that. So we got Rams, Chiefs, and then Bengals for the next 3 games. So who knows what my sanity level is going to be at that
Well, the
point.
Rams stink, and that'll be a home game for you guys. It'll be nice to be going back to your old stomping grounds and having some people actually wearing silver and black in the fucking stadium cheering for you. So it'll be nice. It'll be good to see that.
Yeah, it's nice to lose in new stadiums. I like that. I like losing in different stadiums than our own. It's very comforting.
You guys are getting
that
really
way.
good at it. I gotta
Yeah,
say.
yeah. They're like, people are like, well, we should just tank the rest of the season. I'm like, all we got to do is keep playing. We don't have to have a strategy of tanking. Like just keep Getsy and keep putting O'Connell out there, and then we got it. But our teams are definitely in different projections this year and different paths. So you guys
It's
you
a
guys
quarterback,
just keep that
Jay.
nice
I mean,
one.
you could joke about it all the time.
It's not just the
number one
quarterback,
thing.
though. I mean, like the Josh Allen, of course, is Josh Allen. But we just watched Ray Davis tear up the Jets, and all Josh Allen is doing is handing them a ball. It's not just. I mean, if you lose Josh Allen, don't get me wrong, your season plummets. But this season, Josh Allen has been utilizing more than just himself. So
Yes.
that is nice to see, and maybe
Zero
that's
interceptions. 6 games, zero.
maybe that's the key piece that you guys needed is not to have it all on one guy.
It's funny, like people are. He didn't have to be Superman tonight. He threw 2 touchdowns and ran for 1. I mean, that's pretty
Yeah.
Superman to me. And it's
When he
just
scored
like,
that touchdown, I was thinking someone made a bunch of money on that first touchdown bet.
yeah.
One of those.
I
I
had
love
Ty
those first
Johnson.
TD bets.
I
Oh,
had
did you?
Ty Johnson, and when he got down there, I was like, "Oh my God, this would be awesome." But when they didn't have him out on the field, they kind of figured out really quickly that they were going to be using Ray Davis way more than they were using Ty anyway. So, whatever. I mean, it all worked out in the end, and I was happy to see it. Dawson Knox cashed in tonight. I mean, you had Hollins again. So, finally got some production from the receiving core and the tight end that has desperately been missed by this offense this season cashed in as well.
Well, we'll see what both teams do in the upcoming weeks. I'm hoping that by next show I can announce that we've made some personnel changes, but that probably is not going to happen. So instead, I'll just be talking about how it went with the Rams. But thanks for joining us, and make sure you check out our other shows. If you are watching us on YouTube right now, then we also have our audio channel. If you're listening to us on audio, we have our YouTube channel, our YouTube channel at Bills and Bones. So you can catch all of these episodes there. Give us a like. Let us know you're out there. You can also find us on Twitter. We are on everywhere that you get your podcasts. So let us know that you're listening, and we will see you guys next week.
See ya.